The message of my report to the General Assembly is clear. The vital work of civil society is facing an existential threat. The rights to peaceful assembly and of association are at the center of human nature and dignity. They are crucial for rights protection and for the fulfillment of global commitments, including the Sustainable Development Goals. But right now, civic space is shrinking, not only from repression, but because the lifelines keeping it alive are deeply challenged. What we are witnessing now is a structural crisis in the international solidarity ecosystem. This is driven by two main forces: the attacks on and dismantling on international and aid systems and the intensifying securitization of global agendas. This affects not only the survival of organizations themselves, but the future of international solidarity. The unprecedented cuts in international aid have left the global human rights and development architecture in deep uncertainty. For example, the G7 countries, who provide 3/4 of all official development assistance, are cutting their contributions by 20% for 2026 compared with 2024. This is the biggest cut since 1960. The result is catastrophic. Thousands of civil society organizations have been forced to shut down worldwide. We are seeing a widespread disruption of programs. Gender justice is heavily impacted, with women-led and women's rights organizations at risk of disappearing. Also, grants to grassroots LGBTIQ organizations have been suspended, halting vital services. This erodes civic space and jeopardizes decades of achievements across all global agendas and undermines civil society participation in multilateral organizations, including the United Nations. Despite this crisis, civil society is leveraging its resilience and legacy of collective action to innovate. Hope for sustainability rests in feminist and youth-led movements, community-based initiatives, and robust local ownership. Organizations are actively testing new funding models, such as reverse calls, where grassroots groups define the priorities. We are also seeing the establishment of co-leadership models to foster equity and flexibility. Crucially, community and cooperative financial models are also being promoted to enhance long-term independence. Many organizations are forging or strengthening cross-sectoral alliances with the academia, independent media, cultural groups, and other actors. These partnerships help diversify funding, broaden message reach, and sustain shared agendas. The adoption of an integrated approach to care and safety has also gained traction, not just as a technical need, but also as an institutional commitment. We need a transparent, inclusive, and democratic process to redefine international cooperation. My report outlines the fundamental principles for this. First, we must ensure equitable access to resources as an essential part of the right to freedom of association. Repressive laws, including foreign agent type laws, must be repealed. Second, we need to institutionalize meaningful participation of civil society and grassroots movements at all stages of aid, addressing barriers to inclusion. Third, we must equalize power and decolonize cooperation. Development cooperation must enable local actors to lead, and at least 50% of aid resources should be directed to national and local actors. Fourth, government and donors must strengthen civil society resilience and autonomy by prioritizing flexible multi-year funding that supports institutional development and long-term impact. Fifth, we need to make civic space protection a core priority in all bilateral and multilateral agreements, reinforced by emergency protection instruments. Sixth, security policies and budgets must apply a human rights-based approach. Civic society must be treated as partners in the design, oversight, and implementation of security strategies at all levels. Seventh, we must democratize the funding architecture, ensuring accessible public and multilateral funds for grassroots and non-traditional actors, and exploring South-South funding mechanisms. Eight, financing for development must place human dignity and planetary sustainability at the center. The freedoms of peaceful assembly and of association are essential components of democracy. This crisis is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity to build an aid architecture that is sustainable and just. Urgent concern action is required as well as extra funding. We must safeguard the rights of peaceful assembly and of association as a cornerstone of democracy and peaceful society, and provide adequate funding is a huge part of this.